everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today's video, I'm going to be doing the budget forecast for paycheck number 2 for the month of September. I'm going to go ahead and just get you guys switched over to my calendar view and we'll get started. Here we are at my household calendar. This is just a repurposed calendar that came from a household binder I'd attempted to put together and never really used, but we're putting him to use now. My husband and I get paid every other week. Our paycheck number 1 for September was just deposited last week. It was on the 11th, and then paycheck number 2 is going to be deposited next week on the 25th. I like to do my budget forecast a week in advance just so I know where all the money's going before it starts flowing in and out of my account. I like to use the highlighter system from the Budget Mom, and we do also follow the zero-based budget system that comes from her as well. So I'm just going to draw a cloud around paycheck number 2. We recently got to cancel our before school program and the babysitter, so you'll see those two are crossed out, but all of these check boxes on here are my fixed expenses. I only include my fixed expenses, and I'm actually going to be functioning mostly from my October calendar, which I have right here. But while I'm still working through September with paycheck number 1, I want to see that those bills are for sure covered by a paycheck, which is paycheck number 1. Paycheck number 2 is purple, paycheck number 1 is blue for September, as you saw. So we're just going through and highlighting. It's going to be covering all bills from September 25th until October 8th. It's just how our paychecks fell. We get paid every other week. So there's a couple of those magic months where we have 3 paychecks, and that's just how that ended up happening. I end up filling out this bills index card that I put together to help me fill out the dates that things are due with these check boxes on my calendars, because when we first started budgeting, to be honest, we really didn't know when a lot of our bills were due. We just knew that the money coming in could cover the money going out. It was a very inefficient system we were using. So putting this together really helped me make this process go a lot more smooth. And I do put in parentheses the expected amounts for each of the bills so that I don't clutter up this calendar. But the calendar is now highlighted. I have a nice visual of where the money is going to be falling. Now I'll get you changed over to my paycheck budget sheet and we'll start plugging in the bills, income, and expenses. Here we are at my paycheck budget sheet. These sheets are available on my Etsy shop. I'll leave a link in the description box below. My husband and I are paycheck by paycheck, zero-based, cashless budgeters. If that's a system you're using and you feel like these would be helpful, feel free to check them out. So like I said, this is for paycheck number 2. The dates that it is covering is going to be from September 25th until October, which I can't believe I'm writing October as a date already. It's just crazy, but October 8th. And income number 1, I expect that to be direct deposited on a Thursday on September 24th. And I expect it to be $2,870. Next is income number 2. It should be deposited that following Friday, and I expect it to be $1,000. Again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I always underestimate income. I'm not expecting income number 3, and I do expect some rollover. That comes from paycheck number 1. Show you guys, this is my paycheck number 1 budget sheet. We've been working our way through. And over here is where you can see that rollover, and it's under expected. And that's where you minus your fixed and variable expenses from your income. And once all expenses are covered for that month, that tells you your cash flow for the month. But since this is just midway through the month, it's counted as our rollover. So I'm going to put that as being expected to come over on September 24th. Even though it's not technically deposited, that's just when the paycheck number 1's coverage of bills ends. And that is $2,511.65. Now what we'll do is add our income and see what our expected total income is. So $38.70 plus $25.11.65. That equals $6,381.65. I've already filled out my fixed expenses over here, but that essentially came from these purple boxes that I just highlighted on these 2 calendar sheets. And then as far as the dates that they're due, and then their expected amounts are these parentheses. So you can see how it's really easy for me to plug in all those numbers. And this, when you add all these together, that totals $4,083.62. Now we'll come over here to variable expenses. And these are our family's different variable expenses. As I've mentioned, I am married. I have, and I haven't mentioned before, but if you're new to this video, but I have 3 kids. They're all right here. And then we have various pets. We have vehicles, so we have gas, we eat, we have food. We like to eat out once in a while and allocate some money for family fun as well. So that's how our variable expenses are built. They're obviously going to be different from anyone else's situation, and that's part of what makes this personal finance. And part of figuring out your budget is determining what you want to have in your variable expenses and what you want to budget for each of those. So for groceries to last us 2 weeks, I budget $400. Eating out and entertainment gets $100. Household and pets gets $125. Gas is $150. My husband and I each get $40 spending money. And then we budget $20 of spending money for each of the kids. They have chores, and if they do something above and beyond their chores, we'll give them extra money. But otherwise, their chores that they do is more as their contribution to the family. There's not so much an allowance that we do. But if they want to have their own little side hustles, we absolutely encourage that. And next, what we will do before I move on to calculating our cash flow, since this is paycheck number 2, this would be counted as our cash flow. But I have this sinking funds table, and all I do for this when I'm setting up my paycheck budget sheet is just designating what weeks these transactions will be for. So I have a lot of different sinking funds, like 20-something sinking funds. I love sinking funds. They have really allowed us to maintain or sustain a debt-free journey by setting aside money for those different intermittently expected expenses, I guess is how you could best describe them. But when I do my weekly check-ins, this is how I build my sort of transaction log for my sinking funds in order to be able to close them out at the end of the month. And I will leave a link to my August sinking fund closeout if you want to see more about that, if it doesn't really make much sense how I'm explaining it here. But that is the sinking fund table and its purpose on the sheet. Next, I'm going to calculate our cash flow. And that's where I take income, which I already have here, minus our fixed expenses, minus our variable expenses. So what we are expecting to throw at debt, because that's what we do, is we're using our cash flow currently to help us pay off debt. Eventually that'll be used for building assets in order to increase our net worth. But currently we're decreasing debt. And that is the last table on my sheet. I'm going to be doing a quarterly debt and net worth assessment the end of this month, which I am super excited about. I will leave a link to my debt confession video if you guys want to see kind of what we started with, but these are all of our starting debts. We paid off 3, and I've left them on here just kind of as motivation to say, look, this is how far you've come. You've got this, stay focused, you can do it. And we're following a debt avalanche method, so the cell phone and the car are both 0% interest. So we're just paying them down and just until the completion of their loan. And actually, I think the cell phone, I can write what that amount is, because that was not a part of this paycheck. So I update these numbers as the bill is cleared, if it's a part of that paycheck. So you can see that student loan number 2 right here, that's an expected fixed expense for paycheck number 2. And once that bill is cleared, I will come down here and update the ending balance. But the cell phone is not a fixed expense for this paycheck, and it actually just cleared yesterday when I did my week 1 check-in. So I can go ahead and update that. The home equity line of credit, this is our current debt snowball focus. We are following a velocity banking method in order to pay down this bad boy, because as you can see, it's a beast. And once we're done with that, next will be our mortgage, and so on and so forth. I will be posting my velocity banking intro video tomorrow, but that is how paycheck number 2 is looking, what our cash flow is looking like, what we'll be throwing at the HELOC. And tomorrow, as I said, I'll see you guys tomorrow for my velocity banking intro video.